What's quicker, a Mazda BT-50 or an Isuzu D-Max? Well, I thought I'd pitch the two together today just to see if there's any difference. If you didn't already know, the BT-50 is based entirely on the D-Max. So in D-Max chassis, D-Max engine, running gear, transmission, even some of the body panels are from the D-Max. It's just Mazda fits its own wheels and some design trimmings, including the headlights, front grille theme and all of that. I've got the 2025 BT-50 GT spec, so this is one down from the flagship, versus the 2025 Isuzu D-Max X-Rider, which is a little bit lower than this equivalent GT. This is the closest I could get in terms of the trim lines. The reason I say that is because the D-Max weighs 2,055 kilograms, while this spec GT BT-50 weighs 2,102 kilograms. So as you can probably guess, the power to weight ratio is slightly in favor of the D-Max. They both feature a 3-litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine, 140 kilowatts, 450 Newton meters, matched to a 6-speed automatic with switchable rear-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. There is no sort of 4A mode, so you can't drive on the tarmac with 4-wheel drive. I mean, you can, but you might wind up the axles. For this test, I'm going to just run them in rear-wheel drive. You could run it in 4H, I guess, as long as you're driving in a straight line. But yeah, just for this test, I'm going to just run them in rear-wheel drive. By the way, if you hear some rustling in the background, we've got some spectators today. The property owners' cows have decided to join us. They've got some grandstand tickets on the start-finish line. They're usually over the back, over the other side. But yeah, if you hear something in the background, that's just them. Being a little bit lighter, the D-Max power to weight ratio is around 68 kilowatts per tonne versus around 66 kilowatts per tonne for this spec BT-50. So the D-Max should win this. I mean, we're talking 50, 60 kilograms difference. I did try to run the petrol down a little bit on the way out here. So during the V-Box testing, it was at about 75% the tank, whereas the D-Max I think was pretty much full, just to try and even up the weights a little bit. But yeah, there's going to be not much in this at all. As usual, I'll set up the tripod here on 3 different spots down this private road for the full quarter mile. The midpoint is not quite the 1/8 mile, and the finish line is actually just after the last camera spot. It's just that I've got the tarmac marked out so I know exactly where to put the tripod, and then during the editing splice it together. They both take off at the exact same time. At the end is the V-Box results. So I usually run the V-Box test straight away when I arrive here, so the vehicle's had a nice big gulp of fresh air, and then I'll do the footage afterwards. Sometimes I'll hook up the V-Box and then put the camera on as well if I'm in a bit of a rush. So with these, I've done it separately. I've tried to do the V-Box testing and tried a few different runs and so on. There's no sport modes or anything like that with these, so it's pretty easy to get them off the line. The only difference is, or the only sort of challenge is, you rev the engine a little bit on the brake pedal, and then just to take up some of the transmission slack and get it ready to go. But if you rev it too much on the brake, it'll spin the wheels too much off the mark. So you kind of just, I figured it out that you just rev it just slightly and then away you go. It still spins the wheels a little bit, but you seem to get off to a good start and post a decent time. Let's see how they go. There we go. As you'd expect, they're pretty much bang on right next to each other. The BT-50 just edges in front, which is a little bit surprising. That's for the V-Box tests anyway. Maybe the aerodynamics play a role. Maybe it's just a better batch of diesel in the BT-50 for this particular test. It's not much in it though. You could test these all day and you'd probably get slightly alternating results anyway. What would I pick out of these two? Well, they're both pretty much the same. It's just a few little details that are different. So the D-Max, as far as I'm aware, there are a lot more genuine accessories available for the D-Max, whereas the BT-50 still has a lot too, but yeah, if that's what you want, then the D-Max might be the pick. The other difference is the warranties. The Mazda provides a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, while the D-Max is covered by 6 years, but limited to 150,000 kilometres, which is really weird. It's kind of, I don't know which one's better really, but they both should be the same, you'd think. The same vehicle, 5 years but unlimited kilometres, or 6 years but limited to 150,000. I don't know, it depends how many Ks you do or are planning to do during your ownership, I guess. Either way, you can't go wrong. These are awesome for towing, they're great off-road, they both come with the sort of rough terrain mode, low range and all of that. This GT spec does come with highway terrain tyres, but if you want to, upgrade them to all-terrains, that's going to help out off-roading even more. I think the Mazda does look a little bit sort of better, I guess. It's got like in terms of design and aesthetics, the BT-50 is cleaner and more elegant. But then once you get past the sort of front guard backwards, it's all pretty much the same as the D-Max anyway. This GT line doesn't come with a cover over the tray, which is a little bit disappointing, I guess. It does have a tub liner in there though. The other main difference is this spec BT-50 is a bit more expensive, as you'd expect, than that D-Max X-Rider. As I said, that's more of like a value focus, less trimmings, less luxuries. But yeah, 66 excluding on roads roughly, or a bit more, and then about 60,000 for the X-Rider. So if you're after value, the X-Rider is definitely the pick. But yeah, this does come with more luxuries. Let me know what you think though. Perhaps you've heard better stories about after sales care and all that with either Isuzu or Mazda. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.